After one day off, we are back, and this is probably going to be the afternoon dish by the time it posts because it's a busy video day. Lots to check out there in either from WolverinesWire or the Locked On Wolverines podcast is finally on video. You'll be able to check my conversation with Anthony Treesh from Pro Football Focus on Locked On Wolverines. Be sure to check that out. Subscribe to that channel. I'll put a link here in this one. But anyway, we've spent a lot of time talking about Michigan's offense and the run game and the fact that Michigan hadn't been passing the ball and all of those types of things in against Washington. Well, I think we're not giving enough credit to what the defense was able to do, right? Because there was the element of, you know what, one defensive mistake and Washington's right back in this. That was what bothered me a little bit during the game. As great as it was to see Michigan being able to run the ball with impunity, just to constantly smash Washington, I was a little bit fearful because of the fact that you think about what the defense was last year and the fact that it was just a sieve for the most part. And yet, guess what? This defense, they might have bent a little bit by the end of the game, but it was by the end of the game, but didn't break at all. The one touchdown given up to Washington. Fortunately, it was a learning moment for the true freshman, Rod Moore. But nonetheless, you had a defense that got 4 sacks. You had a defense that the front particularly looked maniacal under Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson played his mind out, looking every bit as hyped as he has been, in the sense of probably going to see him. We already knew he was probably going to be a first-round pick. He's starting to cement himself as a potential top 10 guy. We're starting to cement himself as probably the first defensive end outside linebacker taken in the next draft. That's how good he's been. But on top of that, we've seen a lot of other players really step up. Josh Ross has looked excellent so far. You know who's looked really good is Chris Jenkins, the second-year player, the redshirt freshman. He had 3 snaps last year. He's played a lot more so far this year, but defensive front has looked really good and really stout. Saw a lot, obviously, from the rotating cast of outside linebackers, whether it's Taylor Upshaw with his sack, David Ojabo. The cornerbacks continue to be really good. The safeties continue to be really good. I think you've seen both Brad Hawkins and Daxton Hill go back to exactly what you expected them to be. For all the complaints that people had when Brad Hawkins said he was coming back, which, I mean, it was off of one mediocre year in 2020. I mean, he's looking right back to where he was in 2019. Daxton Hill is looking every bit the 5-star, but we aren't talking about him as much because, I mean, he's just, it's one of those things where sometimes when things are going really good, sometimes you don't talk about them, right? So there are some things that obviously you want to see that we haven't seen yet. You want to see some more turnovers because we haven't seen them get any turnovers. I think technically they had one, but it was on the 4th down, if memory serves. So you want to see some more of that. You want to see the sacks continue to pile up. And I mean, if Aiden plays the way that he did this last game, I mean, it's going to create opportunities not only for himself but for others, like you used to see those Michigan teams have. Would like to see a little bit more, and Michigan's been really good about, especially in this game in particular, really set the bar much higher. But I want to see more of them getting off the field from 3rd down. They did a really good job against Washington, much better than they did against Western. But need to see that continue because that's one thing that I definitely think of when I think of the Michigan defense, especially in the Don Brown era for the first couple years. It was, if it was 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, you knew Michigan was getting off the field. You just knew it was going to happen. I don't feel like it's quite there yet, but I still think it's a work in progress, and I think that things are starting to come together. The most important thing here, I think, is the fact that you have a confident group now. You have a group that isn't necessarily having that, oh, here we go again type feeling, because now they've got a couple games under their belt and know that they can pitch not necessarily a perfect game, but can go out there and be a strength for the team. So I'll be interested to see how it goes moving forward. Obviously, the next 2 weeks should be pretty. I'm not going to say easy because it is college football. We already saw NIU upset Georgia Tech. Michigan, of course, should be significantly better than Georgia Tech. Rutgers has looked vast improved, but the offense hasn't necessarily been great. So I'll be curious to see how that goes, but I'm losing my voice for some reason. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how those next couple games go before you get ready for. I think we don't know what Wisconsin is offensively per se. We'll find out more in the coming weeks, particularly a week from now when Wisconsin plays Notre Dame the week before the Michigan game. Then we'll start to know what they are. Nebraska certainly looks like it's found an offensive groove. Adrian Martinez. It's always one Martinez over there leading the charge. Is looked vastly improved the last couple weeks. I moved them up in my power rankings, but still. So we'll see how that all because the defense needs to get shored up before some of those games. Then at least you've got that Northwestern game to have a little bit of a breath before Michigan State, which that offense has looked vastly improved. So anyway, just some defensive musings. Nothing too crazy to talk about right now, but good to be back after a day yesterday. Just needed to take the day. But nonetheless, this has been your morning dish. Hopefully it's not afternoon dish, but it probably will be by the time it posts. But we will talk to you again tomorrow, Thursday.